Rolly, what's up, man?
Life is good here in the capital region. How's life for you out on the road?
It's good. I'm down in New York right now, so.
Marc, that you and Dirty Honey are going to be at Empire Live in Albany Wednesday night. What are some of the pros and cons about playing a hometown show like this?
Well, the pros are definitely, there's a lot of friends and family that are going to be coming out, but a little bit of organizing for me, getting all the tickets situated and stuff like that. But that really falls on the shoulder of my tour manager, so he's slightly more inconvenienced than normal, but it's a good problem to have.
You and I have talked a couple of times before, and I've asked you about being from the capital region, being from Niskayuna, and all that kind of stuff. Take us back a little bit to before you were in Dirty Honey and you were living life in the capital region. What venues did you used to go to either watch as a fan or maybe you performed in? What were some of your favorite capital region spots?
SPAC was my first concert. That was Aerosmith. And then, growing up, when I was old enough to do it on my own, we'd go to Northern Lights, we'd go to Saratoga Winters. Those were the two main ones. And then I think we actually played a gig down in Albany at the Armory Center. God, that's going back a while. But, yeah, and then obviously it was the Pepsi Arena, I think, at the time, if I'm not mistaken. So Aerosmith and the Stones there. Yeah, man, so hitting all the places. But main spot we would go to was Gus's Hot Dogs always.
Oh, really?
That was always a main. Yeah, that was a mainstay in Waterville. I got to take the rest of the band there to give them a proper upstate dining experience like no other.
You'd say it's the best in New York?
I would say Gus's is the most unique spot in all of New York, the city included. There's literally nothing else like it.
We're talking with Marc LaBelle of Dirty Honey, out on the road and coming home, at least for one night, for a show at Empire Live in Albany. It's on Wednesday night. That's going to be a whole lot of fun. And we just hit on a couple of capital region favorites, but you've been out and about, touring the world, playing here and there, and I do see that this tour is going to wrap up this November at the Whiskey and the Troubadour out in Los Angeles. Legendary locations. I'm not kind of leading you to it, but I'm wondering if you have some favorite venues around the United States or around the world that you've played, whether they are because of their legendary history or for some other reason. What are some of your favorite spots?
When we played with the Black Crowes at Red Rocks, that was really cool. That was for sure a dream come true venue for me. It's just such a blend of a great concert experience and nature and just full, one-of-a-kind, unique venue that is unlike any other in the world. So that was definitely a special one. I've yet to play at Madison Square Garden. But even SPAC, honestly, we kind of went around and played all the amphitheaters for the most part around the country. And SPAC is one that has a unique flavor. It's in a state park. Just the venue itself just looks different than most of the other ones that have sort of been corporatized over the last, decade or whatever. SPAC has this kind of old charm to it, and it's got just a unique layout. So when you're looking out, you kind of still know you're at SPAC. You kind of hear artists a lot of times, they get lost on stage, whether it's an arena or amphitheaters. You can kind of forget where you are, but that's definitely not the case at SPAC and Red Rocks, and I'm sure the Gorge. They're all really cool.
Let me take you back to Red Rocks for a second. I've heard from some other bands, and I'll ask you directly, especially being the singer, did you have any complications with the thin air of Colorado, in terms of having enough oxygen, and how do you acclimate yourself to something like that?
Unfortunately, I didn't. Our drummer, though, did. He was, on oxygen fully. You know what? I did a little thing where I kind of, ran up about 20 rows up into the audience, and I sing a song up there. And after going up that flight of stairs, I did notice it, but I'm a hiker. I love getting out into the higher elevations of California and Colorado, and I'm somewhat used to it, so it wasn't that big of a deal, but I did notice it.
I'm going to mention some Dirty Honey songs like, When I'm Gone, Can't Find the Brakes, Another Last Time, Coming Home. I think those 4 songs kind of show a lot of depth for Dirty Honey, a variety from rockers to ballads and all that kind of stuff. To me, Dirty Honey is such a complete rock band. For you in the band and your bandmates, what are the challenges for rock bands trying to cut through everything that's going on in 2024?
You know what, I think people are drawn to authenticity more than anything, and whether that's whether you're a rock artist or a country singer or, a folk singer or something, like, fans are drawn to authenticity, and whether they know it or not, they can suss out when something isn't authentic. And I think just staying true to yourself, writing music that you love and appreciate first and are willing to put out there as your art, it's going to draw people in, and you can't get sidetracked. I mean, obviously country's having a huge thing right now, and I'm seeing artists flip a coin and, like, just say, okay, well, I'm going to do a country thing now, and I love country music too, but I'm not going to just, like, put out a country album. There might be some country influences. We do a version of Honky Tonk Women, that honky tonk country Nashville flair, and I think we do it authentically, and that's why it works. I'm not going to go out and write the next Randy Travis or Morgan Wallen hit or something for the next record, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, it's interesting you say that, because as you were talking about country, the Stones came to mind, because I remember they were big, like, what they would call country and Western fans. And you hear 100%. That in a lot of songs, like on Some Girls and stuff. And
Factory Girl, Faraway Eyes.
Yes.
That's like what I was thinking. And when we were doing a different sort of like a cappella Van Halen tune in the set, and I wasn't really in love with it. We weren't doing anything to the tune that wasn't already in Van Halen's version. And then we kind of came up with this arrangement of Honky Tonk Women that, we could make our own in our sort of way. And that's always more interesting as an artist to do stuff like that.
Now, you just mentioned covering Van Halen in the live set, and I know you've covered Last Child by Aerosmith in the live set as well. Give me just some of your take on Steven Tyler and what he has gone through.
Yeah, I mean, I love Steven Tyler. He's one of my favorite singers of all time, and he was the first artist. I mean, I met Steven Tyler in Albany before my first concert ever, so he's been a huge impact on my life. But, yeah, I went to that tour that they had just started and subsequently canceled, and he sounded great still at 78 years old or whatever he is. And, I think that longevity is something that I really appreciate in any artist, whether it's Mick Jagger or Robert Plant's kind of diverted from his Zeppelin sound, if you will, and he's still out there doing a version of it that he's willing to put out there, and I think that's cool. He's still doing it. Yeah, any of those guys that have longevity have huge place in my heart, and I feel for Steven Tyler because I know he loves it, and probably kills him to not be able to perform right now. But I don't think it's the end for them. I hope you're right. We're talking with Marc LaBelle of Dirty Honey, getting ready for the Empire Live show in Albany Wednesday night. Dirty Honey's been touring now for several years, on and off. But I want to take you back to before Dirty Honey, before you went to L.A., before you got the band together and all that stuff. Is everything you've experienced with the band, the recording, putting out music videos, life on the road, all of that, was it what you thought it would be when you were in Niskayuna dreaming of that life? I think there's a lot of elements of, certainly the show is what I would have hoped for, and that's what you're working for every day, and I think most touring artists are. I hear it, whether it's you're a comedian or an actor or a musician, there's so much prep that goes into whatever your performance is going to be for that hour or two. Like today I'm just out here. I wish we were playing tonight, I would rather be playing and getting ready for a show than doing really anything else. So, but man, it's a lot of work. That doesn't get lost on me. And everybody's willing to do it, obviously, but touring the world and, you're dealing with real fatigue. And then, when we went to Australia this first time to tour, I got really sick and borderline, ready to cancel shows because I had no voice, but had to do it. You had to do it. So there's some challenges, but I think you check yourself a lot of times and you say, hey, this is what the dream is, and you can't lose sight of that.
So what makes you most homesick for the Capital Region when you're away?
It's tough. The further away you get from the Northeast, the worse the chicken wings get, and and the pizza.
Yeah.
I don't mess with either one of those on the road if I'm not in this part of the world. So that's the one thing. And obviously, just being away from family for months at a time can, it's not sad or anything. It is what it is. But you definitely miss your loved ones. That's for sure.
Well, welcome home, man. We're happy to have you back. Dirty Honey at Empire Live in Albany Wednesday night. It's going to be a great homecoming. Marc, thank you for your time. Look forward to seeing you at the show Wednesday night.
Always a pleasure. Can't wait.